All right, today we are going to talk about the relationship between dependent and independent variables in the form of the equation y equals mx or y equals m times x, and how that relationship is shown on a table of sample xy values and why the point 1m is on every graph. All right, so essentially 1m would be 1 and the y-intercept. And the y-intercept would be where the line would intersect the y-axis. So let's take a look at some simple one-step equations. Remember back from yesterday that one-step equations are equations that only contain one operation. So y equals mx, this right here, is a one-step equation. All right, so let's move down the page here a little bit. All right, so we've seen a couple. Our first one that we've already dealt with is C equals 21N, which was the price per customer. We talked about that one yesterday. C equals 21 times the number of customers. We also can talk about sales tax, meaning that the tax rate would be 0.06, or the tax rate per dollar. And then the distance traveled would be, the distance would equal 20t, or the average speed in miles per hour times the amount of time would equal the distance. So m, in this case, m is the coefficient of x. So I'm going to take a moment here and I'm going to kind of summarize this next paragraph here, which it says that y equals mx is a relationship that occurs often. And it's important to understand that that relationship often shows up in linear graphs, okay? And that m is going to be a constant rate of change. That coefficient of m is going to represent how x changes in terms of y. So we are going to simply look at a couple of different situations. So I'm going to take the table from A1 in your textbook, and we are going to take a simple little look at some different things here. First off, this is a table. Okay, again, our time is going to be our x variable, and we have 3 different dependent variable columns. Okay, we have distance. So our overall equation here is going to be d equals rate times time, but in the form of y equals mx. Okay, so y equals mx is our overall equation, but really distance is going to be our y, rate is our m, or our coefficient, and time will be our x value. Okay, so we're interchanging our variables to meet our needs. Okay, so moving on. So if I have a time of 0 hours, if I'm traveling at 50 miles, my distance will be 0. Okay, that's pretty simple. If I'm not going anywhere, or if I've traveled no time, it doesn't matter how fast I'm going. If I haven't traveled any time, I'm not going to have traveled any distance. If I'm traveling at a rate of speed for 50 miles per hour for 1 hour, I get there 50 miles. Okay? If I travel at 50 miles per hour for 2 hours, 2 times 50 is 100. If I travel for 3 hours, 3 times 50 is 150. If I travel for 4 hours, then I would travel for 200 miles. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and label these with our units. Okay, now the equation here would be that my distance equals 50. There's my coefficient for m. M in this case would equal 50 times my time. Okay, so y would be distance, x would be time. All right, same thing here for the speed of 55. If I haven't taken any time yet, my distance at 0 hours has been 0 miles. At 1 hour, 1 times 55 is 55 miles. At 2 hours, 2 times 55 is 110 miles. Okay, and again at 3 hours, 3 times 55 would give me 100. I don't know why that went black. 165 miles. And then again at 4 hours, 4 times 55 is 225 miles. Oops, 220 miles, I'm sorry. Okay, and again, the equation in the form of y equals mx would be that distance is going to equal 55 times t. All right, now let's fill out this final row. Again, 0 time times 60, I get 0 miles. For 1 hour, 1 times 60 is 60 miles. 2 times 60 is 120 miles. 3 times 60 is 180 miles. 4 times 60 is 240 miles. Okay, now again, distance that we travel is equal to our speed, or our coefficient, multiplied by the time that we are traveling. So distance equals our speed times our time. Again, right here, distance equals the rate of speed multiplied by our time. All right, so before coming to class tomorrow, you need to make sure that you have this table copied down into your spiral.